Hello, it's Karen from the University City Public Library, and I'm here to tell you a story. Since it's that time of year when there are lots of holidays taking place all around the world, I've chosen a holiday story. And this particular story is about Hanukkah and Christmas. But mostly, it's about being a good friend. And this is the story of Boris and Stella and the perfect gift. Now, Boris and Stella lived in a little apartment house above a restaurant. In the evening, Boris played piano in the restaurant, and he would play all the songs he learned growing up in Russia. Stella worked in the bakery next door, and she made cakes and cookies and breads and pastries just like the ones she had growing up in Italy. Boris and Stella had a lot in common. They loved fancy hats, and they especially loved popping a big bowl of popcorn and settling in to watch a scary movie. Now, it was this time of year, and it was getting close to Hanukkah. Stella knew she wanted to get Boris the perfect Hanukkah gift. So she went and got her piggy bank and she shook it, and only a few coins fell out. She was never going to be able to get the perfect gift with just a few coins. So she looked around her apartment, and sitting in the corner was the little pine tree that her father had given her from the family farm in Italy. And it had been growing in the apartment ever since she came to the United States. She knew that if she sold the tree, she'd have the money to buy a gift for Boris. And she didn't need the tree to remind her of her family. She would always love them and knew that they loved her. So she grabbed the tree and put on her favorite hat and carried the tree downstairs and down the block to the florist shop. And she took it inside and she said to the florist, "Would you be interested in buying my tree?" He looked at it and he said, "Oh, yes, this tree is just perfect to set in the shop window. I'll put it there right now and start to decorate it for Christmas." So he paid Stella for the tree, and she immediately went to get on a bus and ride across town to a gift shop where she knew she could get the perfect gift for Boris. So she went to the shop and asked him for a dreidel. Now, if you don't know what a dreidel is, this is a dreidel. It's a top that on Hanukkah the kids play games with. And it says in Hebrew letters around the outside, "A great miracle happened here." So this is what a dreidel is. The man in the shop says, "We only have one dreidel left, but it's a nice one. It came direct from Israel." Stella looked at the dreidel and said, "Yes, this will be the perfect present." And she paid the man, and she took the dreidel home and wrapped it up in a fancy box with a bow to give to Boris for Hanukkah. Now, Boris wanted to give Stella a perfect Christmas present, and he knew just what to get. He had seen in the shop window of the florist down the block a Christmas tree with a beautiful big glass shiny star at the top. Boris knew that that star would be perfect on Stella's tree. And besides, Stella means star in the Italian language. So Boris shook his bank and he only had a few coins. What was he going to do? He really wanted to get that gift for Stella. So he looked around his apartment and he spied his collection of dreidels up on the mantel. Now, these dreidels his parents had given him, and they always reminded him of how much they loved him. But he didn't need those to be reminded of his parents' love. So he packed up the dreidels and he got on the bus and he went to the gift shop across town and offered to sell his dreidel collection to the shop owner. The shop owner was thrilled. He said, "Oh, I'm so glad you came. I just sold my last dreidel to a very nice lady." So he paid Boris for the dreidels. And Boris took the bus back home and went to the florist shop and he bought the great big beautiful star for Stella's tree. So now, a few days later, it was the 8th night of Hanukkah, which happened to fall on Christmas Eve that year. So Boris fixed up his favorite Hanukkah foods, potato latkes with sour cream and jelly donuts. Stella baked up a panettone with hazelnuts and chocolate frosting, just like they make in Italy. And they got together to celebrate their holidays. But first, Stella said, "I have a present for you." And she hands him the box, and he opens the box, and there is the beautiful dreidel that Stella bought for him. "Oh," he said. "Oh, no." She said, "What's the matter?" He said, "Well, I sold my dreidel collection to buy you this." And he gives her a wrapped box. Stella opens the wrapped box, and as she opens it, Boris notices her tree isn't standing in the corner anymore. And she finishes opening it, and she pulls out the beautiful star. And Boris says, "I bought that to put on your tree." "But where's your tree?" She says, "Oh, Mamma Mia, Boris, I sold the tree so I could buy you a gift." So here they were with their star and their dreidel. And what were they going to do? Well, Boris took the dreidel and he set it up on top of the mantel and he said, "This will be the start of a new collection." And Stella happened to notice a pine cone that had fallen off of her tree. And in that pine cone were seeds. She picked it up and she said, "Well, Boris, I've got seeds here. I'll grow another pine tree. And when it's big enough, we'll put this beautiful star on it. But until then, I'm going to hang it in the window." So, with the shining star hanging in the window and the new dreidel sitting on the mantel, Boris and Stella sat down for their Hanukkah Christmas feast. And that is the story of Boris and Stella's perfect gift. I hope you enjoyed it.